This week in Helldivers was everything, all at once. From the new patch update fixing a long discussed issue to the new Warbond, and of course the new missions. Players came off of a delay concerned that misery was about to come raining down again, but the results of what we actually got were very surprising, shocking many players, me included. Was this week a case of we're so back, or is this game still mired in we're so over? Well, that's what I want to take a look at today. If you want to help support the channel, you know what to do. So sit back and enjoy the surprising week that was Helldivers. Alright, what a week in Helldivers, right? Well, personally, stealth gameplay is not really my style. I can't appreciate that it's finally in the game with dedicated and functional mechanics tailored for those that want to embrace their inner Splinter Cell. Now, we'll touch on everything, and I do mean everything that hit the game this week, but what's lost in the more current event discussion actually happened back on January 16th when we got this official announcement that there was a key issue found in testing prior to release and that Arrowhead was going to be delaying the release of the Redacted Regiment Warbond. We still don't know exactly what was found in testing that caused that delay, and Arrowhead has not addressed it either, which of course led to tons of speculation within the community, especially when everything actually hit the game this past Thursday, the 22nd. I read various posts from community members that it had something to do with platform certification, while others said it was graphical and performance issues, and there was actually pretty much everything out there in between as well. But for me, and I have no proof of this, it's just my theory, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think somewhere in the hallways of Arrowhead, the community feedback about the ineffective suppressors finally reached a sympathetic ear, and whoever that was pulled the plug on the original Warbond release date so that the changes to suppressors could be made, making them an impactful effect instead of just making the weapons sound different to our ears, but not having any tangible positives when used in a mission. At the time, that delay was met with mixed feelings, with many saying, here we go again, same old Arrowhead, but in the end it turned out to be a short pause, and what we got when everything did eventually go live seemed to make it worth the wait. For many, me included, the real shock to the system came early this past Thursday morning when Arrowhead uncorked their 9 gig patch update with very little for us to review in terms of actual patch notes, which at the time kind of seemed odd considering how large that download was, but I think the results spoke for themselves. Suppressors, which the community has long been after Arrowhead about, had finally received wholesale changes and improvements. The noise radius when firing one of these weapons had been cut in half, allowing Helldivers to actually get in close and personal with many targets without alerting the entire area of our whereabouts. Other medium enemies had received reduced alert status as when we fired at them and missed. This was a totally new game when it came to suppressed weapons, which was of vital importance because, of course, we had the Redacted Regiment Warbond dropping just a few short hours behind that patch update. Now, as you've seen in my previous videos, I've been brutally honest about my feelings towards the stealth armor and gear, in that I think it works well and it fulfills that hardcore stealth fantasy, but that fantasy is just not for me, as I prefer to go loud 100% of the time. I also know that this game is not built by me for me, and so I polled my community about how they were feeling about Redacted Regiment. And as you can see, 72% of the now over 12,000 votes were either in love with this Warbond or liked it, which is, I think, saying something because we don't normally see the community siding this heavily in favor of really anything. Made all the more memorable because of just how specialized the gear and weapons in this Warbond are and how tailored they are to go up against a single faction. When I logged in and snagged this look at the galactic map in-game this morning, which I think was just, a few hours ago, we had over 84,000 divers online, with over 33,000 of those focused in on the major order to liberate Valmox. And overall, with just under 3 days to go, the Helldivers are looking strong in our efforts to liberate and hold both, again, Miriam and Valmox. Where the Warbond fantasy starts to shine through, though, is over on Classa. and the minor order to complete an operation over there, with Game Master Joel placing the magic number at a whopping 750,000. Now, with just under 2 days to go with this minor order, we've seen the Helldivers blitz up to nearly 2/3 done, again with about 2 days to go, which I think shows you just how many players are embracing the new gear, weapons, and of course, those new commando missions. Interesting point is that with all those players either hitting the major or minor order, there is still a stubborn bug diver force out there of nearly 20,000 strong that, come hell or high water, they are hitting bugs no matter what. There was, however, one item in that patch that didn't land all that well with the general player base, that being the visual changes to the M1000 Maxigun, which I covered in great length in this video when I showed you the side-by-side of the before and after results. The muzzle flash had been shortened and there wasn't the normal random flashes up and outwards, but it had been replaced with more gas, making it still difficult to spot the rounds leaving the barrel. So, with that in mind, I know it's been forever and a day since I dropped in a mod showcase, but I think it's high time that we did so. So here's 3 mods I highly recommend you pick up. The first of these is the Railgun Max Charge warning sound, which gives you an audible warning once the railgun is ready to fire after hitting max charge. Now, if you're like me, I tend to blow myself up by overcharging this thing time and time again, and having that warning sound allows me to move, strafe, and aim without having to glance at the charge meter as well. If you're more into rocking the Epoch, there's also this mod that gives you the audible warning when it hits max charge as well. And by the way, both of these mods work in first or third person, again, allowing you to stay on the move and to release the trigger when the warning chime sounds. And finally, since the M1000 Maxigun is still kind of hit or miss with players in terms of the visual blur, I'd recommend this no vision blur on Maxigun and alternate muzzle flash mod. Just check it out for yourselves here. Well, I'm test firing it, and this mod has several different versions, by the way, you can equip in case you want more muzzle flash or to remove everything, giving you a super clear visual appearance. All 3 of these mods are free to use and can be found over on NexusMods, and I've included the links for you down in the video description and pinned comment. You'll of course need to first install the Mod Manager app itself, but that is also very easy to use. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. With the only drawback of these mods being that they are unfortunately PC only. Fingers crossed Arrowhead can get something like this added into the game for console players to use, like many other multi-plat titles out there already have. But no look back at this week in Helldivers 2 would be complete without taking another look back at the broader effects of the Suppressor patch, the Redacted Regiment Warbond, and of course, the Commando missions, because at the end of the day, they are all inextricably tied together, but they are built off of the Suppressor patch. Again, no disrespect to the Warbond and the Commando missions, but without Arrowhead first and finally listening to the community and making those changes to suppressors, the Warbond itself would have launched and instantly crashed and burned. So I see the patch as the massive W for players this past week. From there, Redacted Regiment at least had some firm ground to land on once it went live, and although it was, and let's call it like it is, still is polarizing to the player base, it did in fact embrace a highly specialized fantasy, and it delivered on that idea of being that super stealthy soldier. I've had some fun with the new weapons, I can't lie. I'm going to need to get them near max level, as that's where the more meaningful attachments are located. I've also seen your clips out there already surfacing of players doing wacky and wild stuff with the C4, like for instance peppering an FRV or just setting off over 100 of these things at once. And I've also had some shenanigans with the bots using the lure mines when I stick them to hard to reach areas and watch the bots shoot wildly at them while I just cut through them like Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2. And the Commando missions are, well, they are going to take some tweaking and internal fixes, but I kind of went into them at first feeling meh, but after getting in a few dives with the Commando structure, trying out some untested mechanics and such, I've got to say, they do have a way of changing up the flow of the game. Now, whether you see that as a positive or negative, that is completely up to you. But me and my squad, we've now beat them going full out and rowdy. And on the flip side, we've beat them going super stealthy. And they do push you into trying out different tactics and loadouts, which I'm going to say right here, I think is a positive. Speaking of positives, as I kind of wrap up today's video, I know this launch wasn't perfect because I've read that some players are still having crashing and performance issues, so I'm not going to discount the woes that they're experiencing, but at least for me, the whole damn thing worked the very second I downloaded it. Suppressors were finally suppressing. The weapons had customization at launch. The armor made me feel super stealthy, and the commando missions weren't tanking my performance, and I wasn't hardlocking or freezing. I'm looking at you into the untested. And outside of dropping some frames when we had 4 factory striders and about 100 devastators all pushing us at extraction, whatever Arrowhead did seems to be holding up, which brings me full circle and back to that delay announcement and the question, was it worth it? For that though, I'm going to ask you to drop a comment about your experiences with Helldivers this week. Are we back, or is this still firmly entrenched and it's so over? And also, what have you found to be your favorite and not so favorite part of everything we got this week? Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. We are now 100 subscribers away from hitting 400,000. So if you haven't yet smashed that sub button, it would be greatly appreciated as we chase after this major channel milestone. Speaking of supporters, a massive thanks goes out to all of our hardcore channel members who continue to support me and the channel every day, and I count on that. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.